So let's talk about the aerosols. What are they, and how are they spread in the context of COVID-19? And how do masks help stop the spread when virus particles are so much smaller than the weave of a mask?
Okay. So where do the aerosols come from? They come from our mouths. And so, from the mouth down to in here, the nasopharynx, I think would be the fancy word for it, is a resonator tube. Your vocal cords are high frequency oscillators. And if you're breathing, you are producing aerosols. So, what do we mean by aerosols? Well, there is some small confusion in jargon, but not in understanding within the scientific community about that. So they're tiny droplets, and how tiny is often where we draw the line between aerosol or droplet nuclei would be the more one of the formal words. So I just say call them all aerosols because they're being produced and you can't hardly see any of them. Most of them cannot be seen with the naked eye. And so these things are coming out of our mouth and nose in equal measure, by the way. So those nose hanging masks aren't doing anyone a favor. And they immediately begin to evaporate when they exit our face. And in fact, during that process, which takes anywhere from 0.1 to zero point 0.8 seconds, when they give off that heat, that gives them buoyancy, and that's how they remain afloat in the air for minutes to hours, depending on what's in there. Now, the size of the virus is 0.125 microns, which is a millionth of a meter. So a tenth of a millionth of a meter, 125 nanometers, I think would be another way to put it. And it is true that the smallest holes in a mask or most materials are smaller than that, but the virus is essentially never naked in the environment. It's always bound up in a droplet that's at least 3, 5, 10 times bigger. And if it's evaporated, then it's got some dried up salts from our mucus. And so they are bigger. What the virus is hitching a ride on without your permission are bigger than those holes. And then there's multiple processes in a mask as it goes through this tangled weave. Just imagine knotted up looking fibers. It's not a sieve like a colander. That would be a misconception. In fact, if we built mask materials as if they were a colander, they would have to be so small that you couldn't breathe through them. Okay, but we don't build them that way. That's not the way those materials are made. And so Brownian motion is just random motion of particles. It's going to run into the mask. Most of it is going to run into the mask. It doesn't have a choice under the laws of physics. It's going to be attracted to the mask through electric forces. And so basically, depending on the mask material, you're going to get, if it's a bandana, maybe 10, 20% efficiency. A Chemex coffee filter is 50% efficient. All right. And then various cotton poly mixes are on par with surgical masks. A gaiter, if I take one of those neck gaiters and double it over, it's 99% efficient. It's better than an N95. So it's the material. And I would just say the material, particles running into matter obey the laws of physics. And they are going to get caught up in that mask. It just depends on what the mask is made of.